Honestly, it's really no fluff. We're getting straight to the terms that actually matter. That way you can walk into a conversation and actually sound like you belong when you're trying to buy a duplex, a triplex, or even a fourplex. So we're going to tackle that right now in this episode. Hey, welcome to Uncommon State of Mind, where we debate different ways to leverage your next investment to create time freedom, legacy impact, and generational wealth so you could live that uncommon life. But in order to do that, you must be uncommon. My name is Joey, aka Mr. J Mays.
Hey, and I'm AD, also known as AD the Fly Realtor. All right, guys. So what we're doing here today on Uncommon State of Mind, we typically break down real estate for the everyday person who wants to build wealth the right way and the smart way. What we're getting into today is the lingo surrounded around 2 to 4 unit multifamilies. Because if you're trying to buy a property and you don't know all the terms that are being thrown around, it's going to slow you down, and you want to be able to approach that lender, agent, or seller and look like you know what you're talking about.
Big facts. And honestly, it's really no fluff. We're getting straight to the terms that actually matter. That way you can walk into a conversation and actually sound like you belong when you're trying to buy a duplex, a triplex, or even a fourplex. So we're going to tackle that right now in this episode.
All right, so first up, what is multifamily property? If we're talking about beginners, we're usually talking about 2 to 4 unit multifamily units. Why? Because once you pass 4 units, that's when it dips into commercial real estate. You don't have access to standard residential loan.
Okay, so a duplex has 2 units, a triplex has 3 units, a fourplex has 4 units. But one of the most important terms that you're going to need to know is owner occupied. That's when you are living in one of the units and then you're renting out the other units where you're creating that cash flow.
Exactly. And when you do that, you actually get access to owner occupied loans. So that's really why we love 2 to 4 unit properties, because you get to live in one unit on your own or with your household and have other people rent out the other units. But you get to qualify for it with the same financing as a single family home. So you really get to stack on your wealth building.
Okay, so now we're talking loans. The first loan we're going to talk about is the FHA loan. This is the loan where you get to put down 3.5% of the purchase price. But the kicker is you have to live in one of those units. This strategy works great with house hacking.
So house hacking is when you live in one unit and you rent out the others. So we're not talking theory here. This is really something people do in a lot of major cities. So that way they can get help with their mortgage payment and still build wealth.
Okay, so there's two more terms that the lender is going to throw at you. One of them is LTV, which is loan to value ratio, and the other one is DTI, which is a debt to income ratio. So LTV, loan to value ratio, is pretty much just how much the bank is financing on that property. And then DTI, which is your debt to income ratio, is how much of your income actually goes to debt. Banks actually look at both of those ratios to see if you're actually lendable or not. So it's very important to keep track of your debt to income ratio and your loan to value ratio.
Right, right. And you know what? I also wanted to touch back on those different loan options for owner occupants. We didn't mention the 5% down conventional Fannie Mae loan. So that is also an option as of recent years, where you can get a 2 to 4 unit property with 5% down, as opposed to what used to be 15 or 25% down. All right, so now let's talk numbers, but I want to keep it simple. You don't need a finance degree to know how to run the numbers.
All right, so we're going to start with gross rent, and that's pretty much what all of the units bring in as income each month before taxes. Now, you have to remember that your gross rent is going to be subtracted by taxes, insurance, and any other miscellaneous expenses that come with operating that property. That's going to give you your NOI, which is your net operating income.
Then after that, you subtract your mortgage payment. Boom, now you got your cash flow. So if it's positive, you're making money. If it's negative, then that better be part of your strategy, or there better be some way to make up that difference.
Then comes your cap X. Okay. And cap X is pretty much anything that might go wrong with the property. That can be anything from plumbing, from the HVAC going out, roof repair. These are things that you have to budget for, because if you don't, over time, that's going to eat out of your income.
So then when we get to looking at the kind of things we need to track when we're looking for properties, we need to know what our cash on cash return is. So looking at your cash on cash return, that'll give you a good idea of how to compare one property to the other. And that also tells you how much return you get on the cash that you invested initially.
We have to touch on your break-even point. That's pretty much how much rent you need just to cover all of your expenses, including the mortgage. If your market rent is way above that, you definitely have some wiggle room. If it's below that or near that, you're definitely cutting it close, and that might not be a great investment.
Right. And you better love risk at that point.
Facts.
So now moving on to after you buy, once you own the property, that's when the real work starts. So you'll be doing anything from screening tenants to collecting security deposits or handling day-to-day maintenance that occurs from your tenants.
A good beginner move would be to set aside 5 to 10% of your gross rents. That way you can cover any type of miscellaneous mishaps that may happen to the property and you're not wrecked for that month.
And that right there is the real pro tip because when investing, always proceed with caution and always try to find the best way to protect yourself.
Facts.
People like to skip that part with the capex and how things could go wrong, but don't. So there we go with your real estate starter pack. So these are the things you need to know if you're trying to buy a 2 to 4 unit property. You build real wealth.
And if you felt overwhelmed by what we just talked about today, just run this back. Run it back, learn the terms, understand the lingo, and then use it in real life.
All right. And if you're looking to buy a 2 to 4 unit property and you're still not sure how to go about it, we do have the 5-year plan available for you now. Check the show notes. The link will be available. Hit us up anytime. All right. And then now we got our beat for the day.
Our beat for today is be confident. Okay. You want to learn these terms, you want to educate yourself and really practice them. That way, when you're going to the negotiation table or talking to a seller or an agent, you're confident you know what you're talking about and they take you more seriously.
Hey, all right, man. You heard Joey. Be confident, be you, and be uncommon.
Stay up.
All right.